Yeah, absolutely. Man, Sam Laporte is awesome. Sorry. I don't know. AJ gets mad at me when I start talking about these Lions, man, because apparently is that how it works? Like Vikings hate Lions and you Packers hate the Bears, or is it just
it does feel like there are stronger rivalries, but to be honest, it feels like everybody hates Green Bay equally.
oh yeah,
Um,
me too.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bud? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bud? Can I Lisa, Lisa
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft
Bud? I
Research.
took a
You are the
Lisa
audience,
on your
and
heart.
together we are on a quest for dynasty domination. What is going on over there, Daniel?
My head is spinning. 16 NFL games going down in last week. Man, man, it comes up fast.
Yeah.
There's a little waiting and then there's a lot of football. So I'm doing well, man. Trying to sift through all my failures and successes. And this is just week one, baby. It's gonna keep on rolling just like that. What's up
Oh
with you?
yeah. It's the best time of year. There's definitely some highs and some lows last week. A lot of bad injuries, gutted, obviously, about Aaron Rodgers and everything,
Oh
but
fuck.
still a lot of fun to get into this week. So, without further ado, you want to just let them know what they're in for?
Yes. We're gonna do our little week one review type situation. If you were with us last year, you'll know a few of these segments, but I love looking at like the truth about target shares to kind of check out guys with double digit target shares. And I like to track guys that score multiple touchdowns per game. This is kind of like some weird stuff that I do. Christian has got a hell of a rookie roundup coming at us. A lot of names to talk about, and then we're going to cap it off at the end with a little bit of life's great mysteries revealed and life's great miseries realized. So that's just a look at some interesting situations. A lot of unsure situations coming into week one, and I think we got some clarification. So we're going to touch on that, and then some surprising letdowns. Some big surprising letdowns came our way in week one, so we'll touch on those too. So
Yeah, for sure. And we'll try to keep this under 3 hours for you guys at
doubt it.
home listening. And I just got the hiccups, so we're gonna have to edit around that, and it's gonna take forever. So let's get in store, audience. But yeah, like you
Nice.
said, let's get into it. Let's go. Let's start with the rookie roundup. You good with that?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
All right. So if you were with us last year, you already know how this works, but in case you weren't or need a refresher, last year each week we had three categories for our rookie roundup. Just like this year, kind of renamed them though. Our first category is going to be the additional info needed category. Pretty self-explanatory. Doesn't mean that we're out on these guys or anything. Just means we need more out of them in terms of production or usage or whatever. Our second category, promising usage. Maybe these guys didn't light up the scoreboard or the stat sheet necessarily, but they seem to be in line for lots of work down the road, and we just want to keep you aware of them. And then our third category is the possible studs category. And these are guys that we're already pretty in on, or the production is meeting the usage already. So without further ado, now that we've got our parameters set, let's start with the quarterbacks. And our first category is the additional info needed category. I got one guy sitting here, and that's Bryce Young. And okay, so Bryce Young, 52.6% completion percentage, two interceptions. He was the QB 23 on the week. PFF's worst passing grade of the week went to Bryce Young. He just didn't look comfortable. He threw a fumble to snap, threw two picks to the same guy in JC Bates. It was just a really inauspicious start. You can see the accuracy come out occasionally, like these really well placed balls, but it's not as consistent as you would expect. It's early on. I think the Panthers are going to be bad. I don't think that's a shock.
What?
And so I could see like Bryce Young taking some time. He didn't look horrible, I guess, but like it didn't look great. Hayden Hurst was pretty productive with him though. I kind of fell out on him and I think I whiffed on that. But yeah, so I've just got him. We need to see a little more time on Bryce Young.
Yeah, I was pleasantly shocked about that Hayden Hurst. You kind of nailed that in like July, but you did pull back on it a little bit. But
I did.
yeah, I think there's a little bit of potential there.
Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of potential, let's move into the promising usage. And obviously this is going to be a little less interesting because there's only one guy per category. But I've got CJ Stroud, 63, almost 64% completion percentage, no touchdowns, but no picks, QB 22 on the week. He did a nice job. He looked a little more calm than Bryce Young. I thought he got the ball out on time for the most part. Both these teams, the Panthers and the Texans, are going to have problems with their offensive line. But Stroud looked all right, man. Multiple people with double-digit targets, was spreading the ball out nice. 44 passes on the day for Stroud, so they definitely weren't necessarily putting the training wheels on him in terms of amount of usage. So I like it. Nothing to wow you, nothing to get you super excited, but there's some good looking there.
Yeah, they really did a good job of spreading the ball around, and I think that's them kind of figuring out what they got in those pass catchers. So I think it's got plenty of space to go up from there.
Right. Moving on. Finally, the possible studs. It should be obvious by process of elimination. I got Anthony Richardson here. 65% completion percentage, over 200 yards, a touchdown and interception, one touchdown on the ground. He was the QB4 for the week. Just shows you how important that rushing is. But I thought he looked good, man. Like I didn't see a non-experienced guy that needs a lot of work. He had a lot of zip on the ball. I feel like he really knew where to go with the ball most of the time. He was decisive. The slant pass to Josh Downs that got him like 25 yards. That was a nice throw. He also just had an absolute laser to Michael Pittman in the third after it seemed like he hadn't really been gotten involved all day, and then he just erupted all of a sudden. He really threw a lot to the right side of the field, which is concerning because if other teams can kind of lock down that side, it could throw him off his game or whatever. But to me, he looked as advertised, man. A lot of zip on the ball, really good reads. I thought he was decisive. The arm strength showed, and at the end of the day, he's 244 pounds and runs a 4.4, and it showed. And I'm sending it. That also has to do with a lot of the leagues I had him in. I had Aaron Rodgers, so I have to send it. But I'm also like comfortable with it. Week 1, 20 points in a game that he didn't play. Amazing. He got 20 points, and the Colts were leading the Jags about halfway through the fourth quarter. I'm invested. I think we got a potential stud here.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at how careless he was with his health.
Yeah.
That was crazy, man. I mean, it was cool to see it, but yeah, there's only a few guys that can pull that off, and he's built like he could be one of them. But
Yeah,
damn, you
well,
gotta like that's not the way you want to start week one, right? You want to
no,
ease
yeah.
into physical contact, I think. But
You don't want to get hurt. Yeah, and he did end up leaving the game late hurt. So hopefully he can manage that, or hopefully they reel that in. But he looked good to
a
me.
lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on to the running backs. Speed it up a little bit here. I've only got two in the additional info needed category. First up, we got Evan Hall, Colts running back. One attempt for 1 yard, one target for one reception, and 1 yard. Pretty interesting stat line. Makes him the RB 68. I mean, that's the definition of not enough, though. Like, we just didn't see enough out of him. Deion Jackson didn't look great. Zach Moss is coming back. We'll see on Evan Hall. I was kind of shocked that with Jonathan Taylor out, they didn't use him more.
Yeah, well, he got injured there. He's on IR now.
Oh, is
So
he?
he's,
Oh, duh. So
yeah,
that was
man.
just a huge whiff by me by not seeing that. So yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it opened up a roster spot for me in like every single league. So
Gotcha.
that perfect storm is passed, but I'll let you
Gotcha.
roll
Gotcha.
on.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I didn't even see that today. So that's a big bad job by me. But moving on, Zach Charbonnet, 3 attempts, 11 yards, RB 75. This one was weird but obvious at the same time. Like dealing with injuries all offseason, probably wanted to run him in slow. He still had more snaps at running back than DJ Dallas. So I like that. It shows that they're just kind of like slowly getting him involved. So not super worried, but obviously we need to see more before we can say anything about Charbonnet.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
basically the long short of it, man.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to promising usage. Three guys here. And first up is Tank Bigsby. We talked about it all offseason. Travis Etienne threatened was his usage was getting threatened by Tank Bigsby. He only had 21% of the snap share. Um, and ETN ended up out touching him by quite a bit, 23-7. But what really stood out to me was that in the red zone, Bigsby out touched him 2-1. So now they only had 3 attempts in the red zone, but still, as soon as you got there, you were going Bigsby instead of ETN. I think that says a lot, especially because he converted it into a touchdown. So, I mean, his yards per attempt weren't great, 7 attempts for 13 yards. It's not amazing, but he got a touchdown when you needed him to. So at least they're using him in the red zone and they're using him a decent amount. He's definitely the RB2 there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's funny when I heard that it's like 2-1 ratio, but no, literally
It's
the number two to the number one. So
yeah. Hey,
that's
it's
funny,
still
dude.
two to
That
one.
that fumble he had was
Mm,
wild, dude. That DeForest Buckner, that was nuts. But
yeah, that was
I'm
wild.
sure everyone in America's seen that. So we can hit your next guy.
All right, next guy is Sean Tucker, not a guy we talked a ton about in the offseason. Probably should have. Undrafted to RB2 is something you should not turn your nose up at. 5 attempts for 15 yards isn't crazy. 2 targets for 2 receptions. That's crazy because it's the same amount as Rashad White, who we all thought like receiving was his strongest skill set. Now, I do think that Baker Mayfield just doesn't really throw to running backs. I mean, we saw Nick Chubb just never really get targeted. Even when they brought in Kareem Hunt, he didn't get targeted that much. So that could be just kind of Baker Mayfield. But you look at their yards per carry. Tucker had 4 yards per carry to Rashad White's 2.3, which is just gross. Um,
Nasty.
Tucker only had 10 snaps, but I don't know, man. Like I'm losing a lot of faith in Rashad White.
Yeah, it's kind of a yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like Rashad White, we all were in on it. And then, Fournette going away, it seemed like the green light. But there were kind of a lot of red flags with Rashad White initially. So, yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe he can bounce back. But Sean Tucker's a guy that I know me and AJ
Yeah.
have been hard after for a while, and it was kind of surprising how it all went down with the weird health issues and
Mhm.
all that. But yeah, I think if he's out there, he's proven to be successful in Syracuse. He's kind of a baller, so
Yeah.
let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we will. Our last guy for promising usage is Tajay Spears. Outsnapped
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, 54% to 48%. Now, Mike Vrabel has already said that that's probably an outlier, maybe, probably. No, it definitely is, right? It
Ah,
definitely is.
50-50.
um, Henry did out touch him 17 touches to 4, but it does say something about their faith in Tajay Spears that, like, okay, well, for whatever reason, they decided to not roll with Henry, and Tajay Spears was the guy. It also says a lot that, sure, he only touched the ball 4 times, but he was 3 carries for 27 yards. So he's running 9 yards per carry in limited work. Like, he's just explosive. They seem to already like him. You're going to have to hang on to him for this year because Henry's going to get his at some point. but man, they're already using him. I'm excited. Promising usage for sure for Spears.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about Tennessee, but this was cool. That's what I
Fair
would say.
enough. I don't have a lot of faith in Tennessee. They look weird. I could even see Henry getting traded at some point still, but that's further down the road. Just pretty impressive that Spears is already out there, especially no ACL. You want to talk about weird injury stuff.
Yeah, it's all like, yeah. I feel like the minute we get super into Spears, like the minute both his legs fall off or whatever. I don't know how it works, but
Well, I'm already there, so his legs better not fall off.
all right, I'll stay off the bus that way.
That way he
Safety.
stays fine. Okay, I
Hmm.
appreciate you.
I have a
Thanks for
history.
good looking out.
You got it.
All right, moving into possible studs. The first two are going to be fairly obvious. We got Bijan Robinson, 5.6 yards per carry, 6 targets, led all Falcons, because of course he did. 27 yards and a touchdown. I mean, the dudes on that touchdown are in a body bag right now. So that's why he's a possible stud. Like he just looked exactly like who we thought he was going to be, smooth as butter, just incredible. Algiers there doing his thing, and they're going to exactly like what you said. You called it from the
Hey,
rip. They both look great right now, but nothing, even him not getting as much of a workload or whatever, nothing is taking me away from the hype I feel for Bijan. He just looks great already.
yeah, incredible, dude. Honestly, like 33% target share for the team. Like
Dominated.
we're good. We're good.
Moving on, Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of people out or lower on Jahmyr Gibbs after week one, and I don't really get it. I still got him as a possible stud. Like, sure, he didn't get the usage that we were looking for yet. He's also a rookie, and it's week one against the Super Bowl champs on the road. Like, maybe just give him a minute. Thursday night football, damn. But still, 7 attempts for 62 yards. So you're running 6 yards a carry, 2 receptions for 18 yards. He looked super explosive. Nobody can look at that film and watch that game and tell me that dude doesn't look like a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching from my fans' side of the field, you were scared and like kind of happy they didn't give him the ball more. And then, like, you didn't expect to lose, but you definitely were worried that, oh shit, they could just wheel that dude out and just hurt us. But
He's gonna murder someone this week. Someone like there is gonna be a game that Jahmyr Gibbs basically wins by himself. I
yeah,
think at least one where he just goes nuclear on somebody.
I think back
Um,
half of the season, he's just going to be fireworks in the sky, man.
yeah, no, 100%. And so those were the two obvious names, but I'm pounding the table on this one. Roshan Johnson, I've got an impossible stud. Bears were playing the Packers this week. Maybe that's part of it. I was watching every snap of that game. But man, 5 attempts for 20 yards and a touchdown. 7 targets from Roshan Johnson for 6 catches and 35 yards. He was the RB8 on the week, and he wasn't even supposed to be like the starter coming into this week. He led all Bears in snaps with 39%. He looked by far the best running back in that backfield, just ran with so much power. He took 100% of the red zone carries. So I don't know. I'm full send. Every redraft I'm in that I had Herbert, I dropped Herbert. I picked up Johnson this week. I think it's coming, and he looks like a stud. Like I don't know that he'll ever be top 12 RB, or he'll be like your RB1 that you want to build your whole roster around. But I think he could easily be an RB2 with the way he played on Sunday, especially in a losing effort. And that's not me just trying to dig into the Bears a little, and maybe it is a little bit, but like I don't know, man. He just looked really, really good to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I Yeah, it was a great game for him, and he's awesome. no doubt about it. But you dropped Herbert for
I
Johnson.
did. I did.
Like
Yeah.
of all the people you could have dropped, you're like, nope. This if I can only have one player on this team, it's gonna be Roshan. That's wild to me. You're probably right, but I don't know, a little more cautious, I think, given
That's
another
fair. I
week.
mean, Herbert's also my fourth running back in most of this, so I'm just kind of swapping my fourth running back.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. I get
But
you.
yeah, no, I
Some
hear
of us
you.
had to start Herbert last week. Never mind. I don't want to talk about misery this soon in the episode.
Oh, that's fair. We got to get to that later. All right. So moving on to the wide receivers, we've got additional info needed on three guys. First one was Marvin Mims. I thought he
Yeah.
would explode a lot more. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 9 yards, basically nothing. Wide receiver 92. Not a ton of targets to go around. Only 13 going to the receivers the entire game for the Broncos, which is weird. But it's worth noting that Brandon Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey both outsnapped Marvin Mims, which is weird. Not something we saw coming into the week with Jerry Jeudy being out, KJ Hamler being out, Sutton being old. Like everybody thought, like, oh, let's send it with Mims. Didn't really happen. Doesn't mean can't, but didn't happen week 1. Worth noting.
Hmm. I thought it was
Um,
weird.
yeah, super weird. Quentin Johnston also not basically non-existent. 2 catches, 9 yards, tied Marvin Mims in score. Had one more target. Looks horrible compared to the guys that he was around in the draft right now: Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. But it's worth noting Mike Williams already dealing with injuries. If he goes out, Johnston kind of is the guy that should slide directly into that role. So it's worth looking. It's early, but early returns aren't great, but still would need a lot more information off him.
Couldn't agree
Um,
more.
moving on to Tank Dell, another additional info needed. And this one was weird. I thought I was going to put him into promising usage, 4 targets, 3 catches, 34 yards, but he was fourth in targets, fourth in snaps, which
Hmm.
kind of makes me go, interesting. Like Stroud is targeting him quite a bit for being that far down, but he still didn't get that many targets. He looks good, but let's just see. I want to see how this Houston offense really works out.
Yeah, and he was fourth in targets, but yeah, that's crazy. Fourth in targets, 44 or 4 targets is sounds nice for a rookie in his first game, but they threw 44 attempts.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, not
it's not that
really.
great.
No.
All right. So moving on to guys who did get promising usage. Jackson Smith and Jigba was pretty quiet. 5 targets, 3 catches for 13 yards, wide receiver 76. He was out snapped by Lockett and Metcalf by quite a bit, around 15 snaps. But that's not that crazy. And considering that JSN out targeted Tyler Lockett, even with not being in for as many snaps as him, is a pretty big sign that, like, okay, JSN is on the way. So that's what kind of bumped him into the promising usage category for me, is that even though he wasn't on the field as much, they were already throwing him the ball more than Lockett.
Yeah,
So
it's going to unfold slowly.
yeah, I think so. By the end of the year. Next up, we got Jaden Reed, also had 5 targets, 2 catches for 48 yards, wide receiver 58. Romeo Dobbs had the red zone locked up, 2 touchdowns for him. But it's worth noting Jaden Reed outsnapped him 32-29. They ended up with the same amount of targets, 4 catches for Dobbs, 2 for Reed. But Reed almost doubled Dobbs in yardage. Dobbs only had 26 yards to Reed's 48. So I don't know, like this offense is going to be really interesting with Watson. And I think Dobbs has the possession type role locked down. But they like Reed. They want to get him in there. And obviously Watson was out, but it seems like they really, really like Jaden Reed.
Hell yeah, man. We did too. Makes sense.
For sure, for sure. All right, moving on. Josh Downs also getting promising usage. 7 targets, 3 catches for 30 yards. Was still third on the team in terms of snaps, 79% of snaps compared to Alec Pierce's 92. However, that's only a
Yes.
difference of 66 to 57, so it's not like terribly far off. And Downs doubled him in targets. Alec Pierce only had 3. He got hurt in the second half of the game, but still only had 3. Josh Downs had 7. And I don't know, man. I like Downs in this offense. I think Pierce is getting buried here a little bit. I mean, Kylan Granson had 7 targets. Michael Pittman had 13. Josh Downs had 7. Richardson's going to be running the ball. Somebody's got to be the odd man out. And right now it looks like it's Pierce.
Yeah, I was worried this would happen, man. You don't have a fully developed pass thrower.
Mhm.
And so it's going to be, familiar faces all the way. Thought maybe it was just camp hype with the connection with Downs, but to come out and throw him 7 balls, that's pretty big.
Mhm.
Looking good for Downs for sure.
Yeah. And last but not least, in the promising usage, we've got Jonathan Mingo. I almost
Yeah.
had him in additional info needed because of the Panthers. But if you look, he had 5 targets, 2 receptions, 17 yards. That's not great, but he was on the field for 87% of the snaps. That's bigger than any of the other names we've mentioned so far in the wide receiver room. So I thought it was worth noting, like he's on the field a lot more than these guys. I don't have a lot of faith in the Panthers, but he's on the field. He had 5 targets, which is quite a decent little number.
Jonathan Moongo. Take him to the moon, baby.
He had a nice little sideline catch. Not much else than that to speak of for the Panthers. So let's move on to the possible studs. And once again, we've got 2 fairly familiar names and 1 not as familiar
Oh,
name.
yeah, sure.
First one up, Jordan Addison, 6 targets, 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown, wide receiver 19 on the week.
Damn.
Osborne massively outsnapped him,
Hmm.
91% to 56%. But honestly, that just makes the fact that Addison outproduced him worse. So he's on the field for 40% less of the time, and he has 20 more yards than you and a touchdown, or 30 more yards than you and a touchdown. Like that's not great. I mean, I think the Vikings are going to be up and down. I still think Osborne will get his at some point, but just not as much. But yeah, it looks like I whiffed on the Addison Flowers Johnson thing as of right now because Addison looks like a stud.
Let it develop, man. Let it develop. Yeah, Addison's awesome, man. I think I was probably the biggest Addison believer this
Mhm.
off season, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Really helps with JJ on the other side.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, you
um,
do.
Going on, dude. Zay Flowers, though, is definitely a possible stud. 10 targets, 9 receptions, 78 yards, was the wide receiver 16 on the week. 84% of snaps to Bateman's 39%. Is it time? Is it time to pull the plug on Bateman?
Oh,
Uh,
it's been time, dude.
yeah, we've been late.
I mean, yeah, it. You know what, man? When the captain goes down with the ship, you know what I mean.
Mhm. You
So
got to. You got
yeah,
to.
I'm a drown. I'm a drown.
That's fair. Well, I mean, Zay Flowers got more targets than Bateman and Beckham Jr. combined by 4. Because
Yeah.
combined, Bateman and Beckham got 6, and Zay Flower had 10. So Zay Flowers also had 4 targets in the red zone to everybody else's goose egg. It's just ah, I fucked up. Those baby blue Chargers jerseys got me again because Zay Flowers was the guy coming out of the draft, and he looks like the guy now. He looks electric out there, man.
The Chargers do have nice jerseys. I give you
That's
that.
fair. All right. Last but certainly not least, coming out of nowhere, seemingly, we've got Puka Nakua, Rams wide receiver, who ended up with 15 targets, 10 catches, and 119 yards to end up as the wide receiver 9 on the week. 78% of snaps was lower than I expected when I saw those numbers. But if there's any chance Cup's gone, I know he's on IR, so he's at least gone 4 weeks. But if he's gone longer than that, it seems like Puka is sliding into that role for Matthew Stafford, who looked pretty good this week. By the way, like both he and Tutu Atwell out targeted Van Jefferson, even though Jefferson was on the field more. According to fantasy points data, Puka was the first read on 42.9% of plays that he was on the field running a route for, and he was targeted on 39.5% of those plays. Like, it just seems like they really, really like him. They're throwing him in early. I mean, you're targeting him 15 times week 1 of the rookie season. I don't know, man. They've got a lot of faith in this kid, and I'm ready for the ride.
But yeah, no one saw this coming, you know. Nobody saw this coming. um, shit, dude. A little look under the hood, y'all. I just traded Puka to Christian, like literally on Wednesday or Thursday, and now I'm a little bummed about it. Been rostering Van Jefferson since his rookie draft, and I am really happy for Puka, man. That's awesome. I think this is really cool. Out of nowhere, maybe there's a chance that you know, Cooper Cup's injury was such a last minute thing that the game plan was just like slide in a body double, and maybe they'll develop to a point where they can start to spread the ball out a little bit more. But I mean, to your point, like I think we all, I mean, I don't know. I was aware that Matthew Stafford was going to probably not just be cooked, baked, finito. So I'm glad that he came back and looked good, and fucking someone's going to benefit from Matthew Stafford playing good ball. And
Yeah, big
I think we
time.
found out who.
Now, I would watch out this week. San Francisco coming to town against the Rams. It could be tough, but
Yeah.
I'm all in. I'm starting Puka this week. I mean, I have to kind of, but all right, on to tight ends. Let's wrap up this old rookie roundup here. All right, additional information needed. Michael Mayer, goose egg,
What?
the goose egg of all goose eggs. And I thought, like, oh, maybe he wasn't on the field much. He was on the field for 49% of snaps. What's the deal?
Crazy.
Not even a target. Poor kid in his first game. So I don't know. Obvious needs more information there if you're not even seeing a target or anything.
Yeah.
So moving
Yeah, that
on. Oh,
nothing.
okay.
You're
Okay.
good. I'll
Yeah.
talk about that game later.
Moving on. So I don't have any, spoiler alert, I don't have any possible studs yet in the tight end room, but I have
What?
3 that I think could move there for sure. I think I'm just hesitant because they all had super promising usage. Sam Laporta, 5 targets, 5 receptions, 39 yards, tight end 8 on the season, led tight ends on the Lions in targets 5-2, 83% of the snap count. But he was still 4th in targets on the team, and Gibbs only had 2. So
Yeah.
I don't know, just waiting a little bit. But yeah, he looks great. All 3 of these guys we're about to talk about have potential to be in like the top 10 of fantasy tight ends already. So in theory, think of this as a promising usage, possible studs hybrid category. I didn't know what to do with these guys. Moving on, Luke Musgrave, 4 targets, 3 catches, 50 yards, tight end 13. 75% of the snaps, only tight end in Green Bay that had any targets, and could have had a touchdown on that rollout. A little overthrown by Love or underthrown by Love. A lot of pressure on that was a weird breakout play. I don't know if you saw it. And then Musgrave just kind of looks like a deer where he's so fast and long that sometimes he almost feels like he's running faster than his body can handle it. And he kind of like tried to recover from a little bit of an overthrown ball wide open and ended up falling over, but he could have easily had like a 40-yard touchdown. So yeah, they want to use him a lot. It didn't even look like they were paying attention to anybody else in the tight end room in Green Bay. So
Yeah. It breaks my heart, man.
Tucker Kraft will get in there at some point, I think. But right now, they're full send on Musgrave.
Yeah, Jaden Reed's making sure they're running 11 personnel all the time. So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I'm digging it. And last, but certainly not least, Dalton Kincaid, 4 targets, 4 catches, 26 yards, tight end 18. Didn't seem to do a lot of blocking. And then when you look, over 90% route participation when he was out there. So
Mhm.
certainly kind of all we were hearing. They want to get him involved. They want to use him a lot in the receiving game. So it seems like it's there, but just 4 catches for 26 yards. Let me wait and see.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Dawson Knox had some really good blocking going. So
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I don't know, man. That Bills game, it's hard to take anything away from it. But I mean, if you can take anything, it's that, Knox 4 for 4, baby. So can't complain about that.
Truth.
I did think Sam Laporta looked like awesome, and he didn't really get rolling until later in that game. I
Mhm.
feel like he's definitely moving up to like an 8 target area,
Okay.
especially if you watch how like out of sync Jared Goff and Marvin Jones Jr. were.
Mhm.
Is Marvin Jones was doing his best Kadarius Toney impression. I don't know. This is a weird thing to say out loud, but that's it, man. That's my reply to the tight ends. It's gonna be
Gotcha.
cool.
Well, there you have it. There is your rookie roundup for week one. Some fun to be had. I think we're gonna have a really fun rookie tight end class. These three guys are gonna be a lot of fun. This is all gonna get cut. I'm gonna stop. We don't have time for none of this. Let's get into the multi TD monsters, huh, Daniel?
Yeah, man. I will get into that. I just had to know about this Lions thing with the Vikings hatred. Yeah, so multi TD madness is my thing. I don't know. I'm telling you guys, here's what happened. I think that I tried to do my homework 2 for 1 last year. So I got really into like the multi TD guys and looking for trends on that. And then I got into the targets, which we'll get into later. And I really do think I was just like doing I was just doing my DFS homework and my podcast homework at the same time. But I thought it was interesting, some things that came out of it. So I'm gonna do it again. Here we go. So in week one, we had 10 guys that opened up the year with multiple touchdowns, and the names may or may not surprise you. So it's kind of fun to look at it. Um, and I went back to my work from last year and I looked at the first week, and there were 10 guys on there, and like some of the names were also surprising, and there were some similarities. So I'm gonna tell you I want to tell you first what the 10 guys were from last year, just to kind of like set a foundation for why it's intriguing. So last year it was Jamal Williams, and then it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Devin Duvernay, Dontrell Hilliard, Jahan Dotson, James Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas, and OJ Howard. So like a lot of those, a couple of those guys had not really great seasons. Kind of peaked in week one, but then you had like guys like Jamal Williams, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he ended up like taking it on. He led, he led tied with Austin Eckler for having the most multiple TD weeks with 6. Yeah, and then Justin Jefferson only had multiple TDs in week one, and then that was it. Like he had only single score games after that, so it's kind of weird, but it made me kind of interested in how it was all going to shake out. So I did it again this year. I brought it back, and so here are the guys for week one, and you probably already know this, but you got to check them out. You got Brandon Ayuk,
Mm-hmm.
which
Great.
is kind of like everyone. I feel like we all felt it, or some people were very serious about it, and then some were still attached to the Debo. It's whatever. That's good for them. You had Tyler Algier, which I feel
Called that.
like, yeah, I feel like I definitely called that. So I'm not gonna, it's
Mhm.
whatever. So he gives me, that kind of Jamal Williams vibes where you like didn't look for him to be that lead type dude, but we'll get into that and see how it shakes out. Kendrick Bourne had 2 touchdowns.
He always
Um,
pops, man. He looks good randomly. He looks like he could be a good player, and then he just disappears.
yeah, no, it's incredible, man. I got more about him when we get into the targets, but
Okay.
yeah, that was pretty cool that was almost a comeback. Like it was a weird game. That was kind of fun. Obviously Romeo Dobbs, right? 2 touchdowns.
Romeo.
Romeo. Oh no. So yeah, and I've got like so many crossing notes on this episode, but It was kind of crazy that 2 of the 15 completions for Jordan Love were touchdowns to Romeo. So good for him.
Mhm.
Justice Hill, right? So what's up with that? That's kind of like feels like your Dontrell Hilliard type moment here, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Well, JK going down. Poor JK
Yeah, yeah,
Dobbins. That's tough.
dude. JK, it's not even a joke. I'm not
Mhm.
kidding. It sucks. Um, but then another Hill in the house, Tyreek, incredible.
Always. Yeah.
Tyreek, dude, next level. Then you got Aaron Jones. I know you love to see that. It's like,
Yeah.
how are we
Just
doubling up on the back here?
consistently does it and just always gets overlooked for it. RB1 on the week, whatever, doing things.
Hell yeah, baby. Jacoby Myers, wow.
Mm, he
That
looked
was
good too.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Tony Pollard, which I was kind of poo-pooing the Pollard, and I almost felt good. Like Rico was coming out, getting some good work in the early part of the game, and I was like, "Here we go," 1-2 AB, and then Tony Pollard just kind of turned it up and hit the 2 TDs, and then Kyron Williams, dude, like Kyron Williams had
Makes
2
sense.
touchdowns. Like whatever, man. This is something that definitely we need to.
Keep an eye on.
Yeah, like this can be pretty serious.
Well, when
Uh,
Cam Akers is going 22 for 29 on the
yeah,
ground, like what kind of horrendous ass shit is that?
I know
So
1.3 yards per carry. It's like they
what?
put the coach in or something.
Yeah, and you
Like
would
that's
okay,
insane.
1.3 yards per carry on like 10 carries. That's a bad day.
Right.
1.3 yards per carry on 22 carries is tough.
No,
That's a
that's a
tough.
bad life.
That's a bad day. That's a bad couple weeks. Like that, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to really earn next week to get that off your to get that stink off you. He had a touchdown, which salvaged him a little bit, but woof.
I mean, fantasy wise was salvaging, but like I mean, I don't know, man. That's whatever. Good for them.
Yeah,
You know,
they won. Look
they
good doing
won.
it. But
Yep. It was a little bit of a shocker. And that's it, man. And so, as I mentioned, Eckler and Jamal Williams had 6 last year. And then Devonta Adams had 5. And then that was it. Like everyone else had 4 or less. So it is something to keep an eye on. These guys do get kind of trendy. Um, Even if like people are fast to call things flukes, I'm guilty of it myself. So it's just something to keep an eye on. So we'll just leave it at that. Um, but yeah, I was gonna get in my double
yeah,
digit target guys. I don't know. I call it the truth about targets, kind of a weird thing.
I like it.
Um, so yeah, there were 17 guys that did it this year. Is that correct? 17 guys that did it. And I broke them up kind of categories similar to your rookie roundup, but not quite as cool. Um, and then so I'll get into a little more detail as we go, hopefully. But some of these guys just going to blow through because they're the usual suspects, man. The usual suspects. You got Tyreek Hill. Obviously, that's going to happen. 15 targets, tied for most on the week. Fun tie. Um, you got Stephon Diggs, man. He had 13. You love to see that because Diggs needs to be overloaded with work, no matter what's happening in that game. I said a few weeks ago that I did not feel like Josh Allen was a limiting factor for Stephon Diggs. I may be wrong on that one, but we'll keep rolling. Justin Jefferson was in there with 12. Chris Olave, man, had 10, right at 10. And that was pretty good. Made me happy to see it. And then you got AJ Brown. He had 10 as well. Mike Evans, love to see that. He had 10. And then I put DeAndre Hopkins with an asterisk because he is in the usual suspects category and had 13 targets, which was tied with Stephon for whatever third most or whatever second most in number, third most in order. And I thought that was pretty impressive considering what I anticipated to be a low target share coming his way because of low passing volume
Mm.
from the Titans. So I was a little surprised to see they had 34 attempts But I was not shocked to see that he had a 38% target share coming out of there. So that was pretty cool. Funny I voiced it like that because the next category up is made sense. The
Okay.
made sense category. This is Calvin Ridley, who probably could have been a usual suspect if he wasn't suspended or whatever. If he had not had a gap in his career, he definitely would have been in the superstar category. But yeah, it made sense for Calvin Ridley to get 11 targets. It was cool to see it. It made sense also for Michael Pittman, got 11 targets. I've got to check that game film. I've caught a few. I'm loving the NFL Plus app, which got the condensed like 40, 50 minutes to watch a whole game, only snaps. But I wonder if they like moved him to the right side at some point in the game, because he went from ghost town to 11 targets. Like it
That'd
was
be
like
worth looking
a
into
switch
for sure.
flipped. Yeah. So
I know
I
his
don't know.
long touchdown, ironically, was on the left. So
Yeah, that's Alec Pierce should be on the left, man. Apparently, it's probably what happened. Um, but then also made sense for Zach Ertz to have 10 targets on that Cardinals depth chart, kind of definitely limping through with Josh Dobbs trying to just give him some safe options there with the tight end. And then Devonta Smith, right? Heisman winner, you got to load him up. He ended up with 10 targets as well. So then the next group up is that's interesting group. And this is led by Robert Woods. Hey, man. Like Robert Woods is still with us. He's still kicking. He kicked it with 10 targets, man. Nico Collins, a teammate there with him, hit it at the 11 target number, which I thought was pretty groovy.
Yep.
Those guys, like 44 attempts out. That was cool. I thought it was kind of fun. But then Zay Flowers, yeah, that's interesting, man. Zay Flowers was killing it. He had the highest target share out of all these guys with 45.5%. So 10 out of 22 went his way. Like that's insane. That's drowning him in targets. It's buckets of targets. And so that's pretty cool, man. It's very interesting. And then Jacoby Myers. That was just like shocking. He's got like the kind of long hair, and I'm like, is that Adams, man? No, it was Myers, man, just getting all the targets in the world. We'll see how that shakes out, but it's kind of cool to see it happen because everyone was kind of head scratching, like, why would you duplicate the Hunter Renfro type player but they made it work. I think they maybe targeted him to silence some haters, but it worked out for them really well. He had right at the 38% target share. And it was interesting. And then you got like the what the hell guys, man. You got the Puka, like we've already talked about this guy quite a bit, but he's right at 40%, tied with Tyreek Hill for 15 targets. That's unreal. That's incredible. Just something to keep an eye on,
Yeah, big time.
Didn't make it in the end zone, but he's got time. He's got all the time. All those running backs were scoring apparently. And then you've got Kendrick Bourne, man. Like,
wow.
What are we doing here? 11 targets, double digits, man. It is only his third double-digit target game going into his seventh year in the league. He had one in 2018 and one in 2020. So for him just to debut as if he's been doing it like that the whole time, it's just incredible, dude. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's the truth about these targets, though, is that 8 of these guys were on the top 10 teams in pass attempts. So you gotta just know that if the volume's there, it's probably getting funneled to these guys. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If they're throwing the ball, someone's got to be catching it. So keep an eye on him. And 7 of them had over a third of their team's target share. And that was Tyreek, Zach Ertz, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Jacoby Meyer, Puka, and then Zay Flowers in ascending order, going from straight up a third to nearly half with Flowers. So it's just something I'm going to keep an eye on. I'm going to track who drops in, who drops out, and see if we get streaky with these guys. Try to get them before they blow up.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. Some interesting names, dude. Puka, if Puka keeps it up, that's gonna be wild.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, I have so much remorse in my life that I don't have room for Puka regret. But I feel like, yeah, I reminded myself of the cardinal rule, like never trade a rookie before you've seen him on the field.
That's
It
fair.
could blow up in your face, but it could also, you
Go the
know,
other way.
yeah, absolutely. It always blows up in my face when I hold these guys forever and they never do anything. So, of
Yeah, that's fair.
course, the one time I get out, that's what happens. So, but man, to be honest with you, we had a lot of uncertainty coming into the
Hmm.
season,
Yeah.
and I think I was going to take a moment, 5 to 10 moments of your life to kind of just go real quick, raw numbers on how some of the stuff shook out.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to start with, so yeah, life's great mysteries revealed. Um, Target splits. So there were some teams that had a lot of new in the wide receiver room, a lot of uncertainty, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm going to start with the Panthers, right? Like they trade DJ Moore, and then they bring in Thielen, and they draft Mingo, and it's just crazy. So who gets what, and at what consistency? But we already touched on a little bit. I mean, Hayden Hurst leads the room with 7.
Hmm.
Sanders is at 6.
Wow.
Terrace Marshall Jr. hits 6, and then Mingo hits 5. Everyone else is 2 or less. So I think that's a little bit telling of like a rookie quarterback going to need some time, going to acclimate. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't have much clarity, but that's the facts, man. The
Hmm.
truth is, no one's getting hyper targeted, and Hayden Hurst is reliable as we expected. Um, and then Texans, man, they were top 5 in pass attempts. I
That was
keep kind of
wild.
talking about it. But and then they were outside the top 20 in rush attempts, which is like not really what I anticipated, not really
Hmm.
what they were doing last year, but obviously it's new regime, new quarterback, new everything. um but yeah, it was good to see some guys, Nico Collins, that we've been
Yeah,
camping on
for
for
sure.
several years, just get in and hit that double digit, as we were just discussing. Same with Robert Woods, kind of like a career bounce back in the twilight kind of his career. So that was cool. We were coming into this and we didn't know, like, is Tank Dell going to be targeted?
Hmm.
I still like Hutchinson a little bit. I was really hoping Dalton Schultz would have a more of an active role than he
Yeah, that was
did,
weird. Now
but
he's
he,
dealing with a bit of an injury too. So,
yeah, so many injuries, man. This is out of control.
hmm.
Um, so then there's the Rams. This is like whatever. Cooper Cup's not around, so Puka, whatever, we know 15. But then Tutu Atwell, which
Yeah,
8 targets, like that kind of like that shit came out of nowhere, if you ask me.
McVay's
And
forcing it.
obviously, well, yeah, that was high draft capital. We were all confused about it, and then now the opportunity's never been bigger. Maybe second half of last year it was just as big, but Van Jefferson with only 5 was a little bit of a downer for me. Um, Hopefully they can bring that back. But really, the thing that got me was that Tyler Higbee only had 3 targets. So
Yeah,
I really thought that would have been a little different. So obviously, game script, everything, week 1, it could all change, but that was something we weren't sure of, and it didn't really go the way I thought it would. Kind of same thing with the Seahawks, man. They did not have much offense at all.
yeah,
Bottom 5 in pass and rush, and the fewest plays on the week of any NFL team. So try not to read into it too much. But 19 of the 26 targets were evenly split: 4 to Lockett, 5 to Walker, JSN had 5, and Metcalf had 5. Big surprise was that Walker is apparently getting targeted as a pass catcher, but it's not really that hot because there's only 3 yards on 4 catches. That's Cam
not
Akers
great.
level success. So whatever. We're keeping an eye on this. The Chiefs, damn, didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, with Travis Kelsey out, you expect something cool to happen,
Different,
like
yeah.
Sky Moore get a couple, but you know, Rice got 5, Tony
Rasheed
got
Rice looked
5.
good.
Yeah, man. Noah Gray got 5. Uh, freaking Pacheco got 4. Like that was crazy. And then Watson got 4. And I don't know. It was just like it was spread out, and that's fine. This is another one of those teams. It's like this is my team, so I should have this is another one of those teams. Now this is a team that I think they're just gonna like let everyone have an opportunity and see what ends up materializing as the go-to option, and that's cool. But Travis Kelce will be back soon enough, unless he's running off with Taylor Swift. That's pretty interesting. But
Yeah, no, they should get back to it, and it's going to be mostly him. But it was worth noting that Rice looked like the best guy
dude,
out of the group.
it was just like kind of a great weekend for rookie wide receivers not named Quentin.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
yeah, so a couple of these other ones we've touched on a little bit, but I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with the running back touches, right? As
Mhm.
far as the committees or bell cows. You touched on the Bears. I mean, Roshan did look good. Herbert had more carries, but it was 9, 5, and then 5 with Foreman. But Roshan did have more targets,
Mhm.
7 there versus Herbert only had 5. So I don't know. It's kind of a more of an even split, and like you're saying, the success really went to Roshan's way. So
Mhm.
we'll see how this shakes out. But for those of us who were thinking Khalil Herbert was just like the dude,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's whatever. Summertime news is so confusing, but we'll see what happens down the stretch. Falcons, we already know. Tyler Algier had 15 carries to Bijan's 10. That was a little bit surprising to some, but I think that that's the way to do it. And when you have an
Mhm.
explosive player, like don't overwork him, especially if you have a stable guy. Um, man. And then Cordero didn't even suit up. So it was like, it's just these two guys, only what, 18 uh, targets coming out. Yeah, from Ritter. So it's the ground game. These guys are going to have great seasons. Eagles, this was crazy.
Weird.
Yeah. Kenny Gainwell come out and got 14 carries, and Swift only had 1. Yeah, Rashad Penny is like nothing. And then Boston Scott had 1. So I guess Jalen Hurts is, 9 carries is the RB 1B on this team, which I guess we all saw that coming, but you never know
Yeah.
what's going to end up happening. I was just really surprised to see Gainwell doing that heavy of
Yeah.
a load. I mean,
Yeah, no, for sure. And now it's going to get even weirder because he's already been ruled out for Thursday Night Football.
mhm.
So like now we're going to have to see all over again what's going on with the Eagles.
Ugh, yeah, so I don't know, dude. I'm kind of worried about the Eagles. We'll see how it goes. So they'll be fine. Um, yeah, we've already talked a little bit about the Seahawks. There was only 3 carries for Charbonnet, and
Mhm.
not a lot of work going on at all with this offense. So
Yeah, they got kind of smacked. So it was a bit weird.
yeah, definitely kind of a letdown for some of us who were really looking for Charbonnet to just come in and be the RB1 on this team. But there's still hope.
Yeah.
Lions, we kind of touched on it. David Montgomery got 21 carries, 0 targets. We're just talking about how he's a sleepy, good pass catcher. Apparently not. And then Gibbs, yeah, with those 7, just explosive as hell, and 2 catches or 2 targets that turned into some pretty nice catches. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of the touch split we didn't know about. It's a little more solidified, a little bit. It's surprising, especially with the Eagles there. Um, I don't know. I want to talk about a little bit about the non-rookie quarterbacks that are kind
Okay.
of had question marks. Baker, dude, like got the win. That
He
was
does that
crazy.
a few times a year, it seems like.
It was like, yeah, it was. I don't know. I feel like every time Baker has a game like this, it's like he's starring in a movie about himself,
Yeah.
and he's such a character. But he had the 5th highest passing grade from PFF, and especially starting the game, like he was getting the ball out of his hands fast. He got comfortable. He had some time in the pocket. He was thrown downfield. He's got like some really good weapons there with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I don't know, man.
Mike
everyone's
Evans
talking
balled
about
out.
them like choking
Hmm.
and trying to get, first overall pick and stuff. But I don't know, man. Baker's not going to go quietly. And he
No.
was out there putting his body on the line, doing that Baker Russian shit. And it's like, it's fun, dude. It's good football for sure.
Hmm.
So
It's fun for sure.
thanks, Baker. Um, yeah, Jordan Love. I mean, I don't know if you want to jump in on this guy a little
Oh,
bit
I
or.
mean, yeah, he looked good. He looked efficient. He missed some throws. He had absolutely outstanding pass protection all game. So like, let's see what happens if he gets some pressure. But he was really good on third and fourth down when it mattered, which was important. Like, yeah, he missed some throws here and there, but when it mattered, he got it where it needed to go. What I think is great about him is he looks comfortable. He doesn't
Mhm.
look phased at all. Like he fumbled a snap, it bounced right back to him. He still was able to look up, find Musgrave wide open, and still deliver the ball. Wasn't a great pass, but considering the ball just hit the ground, very easily could have been a super negative play, and it ends into a 35-yard, 40-yard chunk play. So he's just calm, man, and his teammates really, really care about him. There's a lot to like. It was not a perfect game. Does not. I think the stats look a little better than it actually was, but he did look good. Like he looked confident. He looked like he knew where to go with the ball, and that's right now. That's what you want to see out of him.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the big question is where does it go with Christian Watson added in the mix? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because with a downfield threat like that and a guy that's got time that is calm in the pocket, I mean, that's like
Yeah,
can't
it
hurt.
definitely
So
can't hurt.
I
I'm
thought it
excited.
was, yeah, you ought to be, man, especially considering the whole roller coaster that QB room's been for a couple of years. It'd be
Oh
cool to have
yeah.
a just something level in there. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. He was a 20th rated passer by PFF for guys over 20 dropbacks. And being 20th rated, you wouldn't think that nobody had more touchdown passes than
Hmm.
him. And there were only six guys with more yards thrown than him. So,
Hmm.
I mean, and I say nobody had more passing TDs, but he was tied for first with a couple other guys with three TDs. So it was
Yeah.
pretty good, man. Definitely probably relieving.
Yeah.
Especially out of the uncertainty and the weird starts he's had throughout the year. So, or throughout the years. Fucking Desmond Ritter, dude.
Oof.
This was a like whatever. He had the best completion rate guys with over 20 dropbacks, right? It's like
Nice.
83 and a half or
Nice.
so. So, but that was only 18 attempts, six of them go to Bijan Robinson. Like the average depth of target is 3.2. Like,
Yeah.
I talked about Cam Akers 1.3 as like the coach playing running back in a game, and like talk
Hmm.
about a dot of a coach playing quarterback, man. It's like it's not gonna really gonna work that well. Especially like underutilization of the weapons.
Hmm.
It's just gonna be a rough year. It's gonna be probably really good for Atlanta, like probably really horrible for fantasy Atlanta. So
Yeah. Yeah. And even the touchdown to Bijan, like if Bijan's not Bijan, that's like a 1 yard gain. So
yeah,
his one touchdown looks even worse with the A dot and everything. If that gets dragged down, because he doesn't have superstars. And come on, get Desmond Ritter involved. What do we do? Or not Desmond Ritter, Drake London involved. Like, what are
yeah,
we doing, man? Like, I get it. Maybe you don't trust Ritter, but woof.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It We'll see it. We'll just see how it plays out. It's kind of
Hmm.
rough. Um, Sam Howell, man. I was actually like really enjoyed watching what he
Okay.
did, which is I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not. But yeah, he threw 31 passes and 19 of them were caught for 202, touchdown and a pick in there. The pick was tipped. The touchdown was like a rollout red zone, kind of threw a dagger in there to get the TD. So I thought it was all right. What I really liked was like the O line was solid as hell. He only had
Hmm.
13 pressures on 40 dropbacks. And so he was kind of patient, like down the field plotting. When he was with North Carolina, he was like kind of one read run kind of guy. And it
Mhm.
was nice to see him sit in the pocket and try to, process his reads and everything. So I think that, yeah, I don't know. I think I was worried he was going to be a dumpster fire, and he's looking like he could be a serviceable, nothing
Yeah.
sexy kind of guy. So that was cool. That's cool to see.
Yeah, didn't had some bad stuff, but had some good stuff too. Balanced it out kind of pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, nothing to get excited about, but I don't think no one's like, I don't know. There's definitely worse games that
Yeah.
went down. If you don't believe me, let's
Get into
get
some
into,
misery.
yeah, life's great miseries realized. And this is like, I mean, we all know we were all there for these, so there's no deep analysis going on here, but we all saw this stuff go down, so let's just kind of breeze through it. Kadarius Toney,
That was
that
tough.
yeah, 31.4 PFF grade. The interception off the hands, just like inability to bring the ball down, kind of letting everyone down on an opening
Mhm.
night. It is what it is,
It was
His
tough
last
though.
game was the Super Bowl championship game, so you got to take the good with the bad. But rough,
It
man.
was tough. That's a terrible PFF grade. But not to take any of the deserved scrutiny away from Kadarius Toney, but that's also right around the PFF passing grade for Bryce Young, for what it's worth, this past week. So also didn't have a very good game. But yeah, Tony just dropping everything. What do you have? 4 drops on 5 targets or something crazy? Yeah,
Yeah.
not great. Chiefs win that game if he doesn't drop that one in the fourth quarter. So
Yep. Yep. There are a lot of close calls for uh what could have been game winners there. But there were no close calls and no potential game winners for Cincinnati and Joe Burrow.
yeah, they got
Dude,
spanked.
what the fuck?
That was wild.
82 yards. That's not okay. That's
No.
criminal.
But
Um,
did you see Miles Garrett just playing with the offensive line, like doing
mhm.
crossovers before the play? Like, oh, which way am I gonna go? This way, this way. You don't know. And then as soon as the ball snapped, he's in Drobo's face.
Yeah, it
Like
was bad.
you can't. I mean, the offensive line was supposed to be better, and that you can't just say like, oh, it wasn't anybody else's fault. The offensive line sucked, but my word, they got taken to school.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still think you got to find a way to do a little bit better than that.
Oh yeah, big time,
Um,
big time.
So 45% completion rate, like T. Higgins, goose egg. Yeah, Orlando Brown, whatever, man. Like that's fine. Have fun. But I was kind of hoping for better for Joey
Hmm.
B. He missed a lot of the offseason. We'll see what happens. So they got Baltimore coming up. So I think that should help him out a little bit. But man, this had to be a kick in the shorts for fantasy guys, hoping willing out Jamar. T. Higgins has always gone like higher than common sense may
Yeah.
may suggest. So that's fine. Joe Mixon was okay. Whatever. This is like definitely move on from this game if you're them, and hope for better days ahead, which almost inevitably have to be on the way. I wish I could say the same thing for the Vikings, dude.
Mhm.
I can't believe they lost to
That was
Tampa
wild.
Bay. Like that was rough for
Didn't
them.
make sense.
Yeah, yeah. It looked, yeah. Talk about pivotal tragedies, just reoccurring. But the thing is Kirk Cousins turnovers, man.
Mhm.
Like I can't believe when I looked into this a little bit. So he had 2 fumbles and the pick, and I want to be optimistic, right? But it seems like a waste of optimism because I got into it, and he's got 107 career picks and 86 fumbles. So it's like those are huge numbers, man.
Mhm.
I know he's been in the league for a long time. We're just going into his 11th or 12th year, but
Mhm.
still, that's like that means that it's kind of a pattern. So fuck whatever. And then it's like, hey, let's shake it off. But you can't shake it off. You go into a
Yeah,
Thursday
Philly.
game against the Eagles.
That
Yeah, man.
interior offensive line of the Vikings is just going to get taken to pound town by the Eagles interior. That's going to be tough.
I want to say it can't be worse than the Monday night game, the Eagles and the Vikings last year, but
Mhm.
we're gonna
Maybe.
find out, man. It's gonna be some weird, ugly Thursday night games out the gate. So I'll skip number 4, man. We already touched that. We kind of already talked enough about Cam Akers sucking ass too.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dobbins, it is horrible,
it
man.
is tough. That's probably that
The
might be his
biggest,
career. It
yeah,
might be, which is unfortunate for him.
absolutely. Dude, okay, the Giants, like, I don't know, like that was crazy. I'm not like sad about it because I've career like didn't care for Daniel Jones too much.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I see the
fair.
rushing efficiency and I start to warm up on him. And I never thought they should have paid him like that. And then this happens and it's kind of just kind of sad because like he's way better than that. But
Hmm.
damn, they got straight up embarrassed. That shit was insane.
Yeah, that
Uh
was nuts.
it's almost fun to watch. Like it's kind of a beautiful disaster, and after all the low scoring games and like the fantasy fizzle outs for like I had a Dallas defense, and that won me a league. I know AJ like destroyed someone, and we got like a crazy defensive scoring league, and it was like a 70-point outing for
Oh
them,
wow.
just like insane stuff. So
That's
so that was
nuts.
cool. Dallas, it seems like for real, man.
Yeah, they have a
Um,
legit defense for
yeah,
sure.
man. I'm sure Mike McCarthy's like, I told you guys, but like, yeah, I mean, not really. It's whatever. Deck didn't have that great of a game, so he didn't have to because it was all done on the other side of the ball. We already kind of talked about Justin Fields, dude. He kind of looked like hot garbage.
The
That whole team.
the Bears are getting raked over the coals though for their offensive scheme as well. Like a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me about that kind of stuff are just eviscerating them online today. And to be honest, the Packers D, like the pressure that they were getting, they had crazy amounts of pressure. Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary only rushed 10 times, but he had 5 pressures because they were trying to
Wow.
work him back from the ACL tear. Like
Hmm.
that, I mean, it feels like the defense for Green Bay has one of these games every year where they look like the sum of all their parts of like what they're supposed to look like. And when they do, it's really hard to do anything against them. So for Fields, I don't know, like they were the one of the worst rosters in the NFL last year. They brought in some good people, but I don't know. I'll take a Jair versus DJ Moore matchup. I'll lean Jair on that if it's one-on-one typically. And then like what else do you have? Chase Claypool out there acting like he doesn't care. Mooney's all right. Komet is all right.
I do
The
like
running game
Mooney.
couldn't really get going. Like, I don't know. I'm willing to wait on Fields, but he definitely didn't look great.
Yeah, as a product of the situation or product of his
Hmm.
play. Sure
I
as
mean,
hell.
there were rollouts that they were trying to run and these deep like 5 7 yard handoff rollout things, and our defenders were not even respecting the run game at all. They were running straight at Justin Fields. Like there's a video of the Devontae Wyatt sack. It's like a 13-year-old loss. His eyes never even pretend like they look at the running back on the play action. He ran
Damn.
straight at Justin Fields the whole time. So I think that was the game plan: knock him off what he wants to do well, and they just did it really well.
Cool. We'll see. Maybe you can overcome that. The Colts backfield, obviously, damn, like I don't know what you say with like with the Jonathan Taylor situation and like the injury and the trade and the drama and then like shit, man. It was Anthony Richardson, 16 for 25, right? Uh After that, and it's like shit, if it's not for him, this team doesn't have anything. Like 25 yards from your
Your running
collective
backs,
running backs,
yeah.
like you
Richardson
have
had 40 on his
right,
own. Like,
and you can't let him play like he's playing that
mm,
wrecking ball style. Like
mm.
it's gonna be. I mean, it would be cool if you like Gardner Minshew, but um, yeah, man, I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's like
You
we
know,
we have a team that's pumped to get Zach Moss on the field. So
yeah, they could really use a guy like Jonathan Taylor They should
That's
they
they
should
should.
see if he's available. They should
Yeah,
call and see like what it would take to get Jonathan Taylor to play for the Colts. That would be
yeah.
neat, I think.
But
Can you imagine Richardson paired with Jonathan Taylor? It'd be tough to like know which way the Colts were running because you'd have a really superstar running back and I don't know. Crazy.
personally, I was counting on it.
Yeah.
So, um,
Fuck.
yeah. But I was also counting on, Brees Hall coming to life later in the season. He's all the
Dude,
way alive.
Brees Hall. I mean, he looked a little slow for the like slower than normal. Like the top, I
Yeah.
feel like that one of those runs would have been a touchdown had he been full health. But yeah, full send. I'm thinking about like dropping Dalvin Cook in the IDP league that we just did the startup draft. I took
Hmm.
Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook, and now I'm like, well, fuck, what do I need Dalvin Cook for?
Yeah, he's got
Like,
wrinkly fingers from holding Brees Hall's beer.
yeah, like I don't. All right, like I'm gonna keep him for insurance just in case Brees re-injures himself, but I don't feel like I need him.
Yeah. And,
But
none of this sounds like misery, but it all comes down to the fact that we weren't sure what the run game was going to have to look like because we were all counting on Aaron Rodgers to take the lid off the defense. And now it's going to be a ground game more than likely. And fucking tragic, dude.
dude, that's gutted, absolutely gutted by that. That was tough. Um, really, really hope he recovers, and I hope that's not the end of his career as well. That would be a shitty way to go out.
It almost like felt like, I don't know. That was my first thought was like, is it worth is it worth it at this age to try to rehab and come back? But
I mean,
it's
hell,
up to him.
he's pretty good about he does what he thinks is best for his body. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't think it's the right thing to do, he won't. But he already said he's going to be back. So I'm excited to see it. It does feel like there was a chance that it was meant to be like this year he gets going with the Jets, but they don't quite make it, and then next year might be the year that they really do it. So now you're putting a like shorter time on it because he doesn't get a year. But I hope he comes back, man. I really do. It'll be sad if he doesn't get that next chapter. I know he was super stoked. So
Yeah. It just, you know, what a build up
yeah,
to.
four
I was like,
plays.
I thought it was going to be like Top Gun montage
Hmm.
level of fun.
They tried to set it up that way. 9/11, the flag coming out of the tunnel. Yeah,
Yeah. Jet Life Stadium.
yeah.
Stupid. But
Jets are cursed, man. That sucks. Well, I'd say we didn't want to end it on a down note, but that's specifically what we were doing because that was
absolutely.
week's one's greatest miseries realized. But that's it. You have heard from us. That is our week one synopsis. So we will be back right back at it next week. If you like what we're doing, please join us again next week. Like, share, and subscribe. Ask us some questions. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. This is the fun time of the regular season. If you want to hear us talk about anything, if you have questions, you want us to hear us break anything down, feel free, hit us up online, hit us up in the comments. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
I took a lease out